The ringing bell signifies the start of the school day at Warsop Primary and Infant School, formerly the Warsop All Age School. The bell, however, signifies more than just the start of a school day. It signifies the start of an era of enlightenment for a small rural Jamaican community. Sited in the hilly interiors of southern Trelawney Parish lies a beacon on a hill, a sort of lighthouse, flashing its brilliant beams from across the district of Warsop to many nearby neighboring communities and parishes.
Served as far away as Shudley. People in Shudley used to cross the river, come over to go to school at Warsop Baptist.
Well, Warsop School is an institution that it was the epitome of success. It was where everybody aspired to be. And it is actually like the lighthouse for the community. You go to Warsop All Age School, because it started first at a primary school and then finally changed to All Age School when teacher pay came. Because there was now many more students, and I think it got the All Age status by the number of students. So it became like it was a lighthouse, not only in Warsop, but I would say in Upper Trelawney, the southern side of Trelawney. And so students would leave all the way from Alps to come to Warsop School, Albertown, all of those communities to come. It was really, it made an impact on the community in that we were put on the map. And additionally, how the excellence of the students also was one of the things that put Warsop School on the map. That this lighthouse, that I call it the lighthouse that it was. You had, like, when I passed my exam to go to Ogun, it was actually 7 of us who passed at one time. Not many schools had that. And so it was a place that really, it was like the mini university for many of us.
The precise beginnings of the school is lost in its history, but one local historian believes the start date lies somewhere in the late 1800s.
It all started with a school at the Baptist church. That was where the school was. Reverend Hainton, an English minister, was one of the ministers there. That was his school. My grandmother was born 1897 and she went to Baptist school. So that church was built many years. After a while, they realized that the building was too small for the amount of people going to school, because first time people never used to send their boys especially to school. Only some of the girls went. But after a while, people were getting sensible and didn't want their children to work as hard and toil so much for little. They wanted them to move up in life and be somebody. So they built Warsop School. The first building as you enter the school gate, that was the building that was built first. teachers, some headmasters that were there. I remember of Teacher Dyke, Teacher Gale. I didn't know Mr. Dyke. I heard of him, but I saw Mr. Gale when I was a tiny tot. And after Teacher Gale came Teacher Lawrence, Teacher Vin Lawrence. And after Vin Lawrence, Teacher Dean, I think. I don't know if anybody is but Teacher Dean, Headley Dean. And when Headley Dean left, Mr. Peart should have come that year, but he stayed out a term, and Teacher Sylvester came to Warsop from Ulster Spring School on secondment until Mr. Peart came, 1965.
After Mr. Peart, I think there was a Mr. King, then there was a Mr. Cross, and I know that Mrs. Hutchinson acted for a while. There was a Mr. Malcolm, and Mrs. Brown acted. MacDonald Brown was seconded from Low River, and she acted before I came here. I'm actually the first appointed female principal of this institution, which would have started in the 1890s at the current grounds where the Baptist church is, Warsop Baptist Church. And then in around 1935, the school was moved to this present location with the 500 students and 3 teachers. So you can imagine what that was like. And in that stone building over there, that we are hoping that through this organization, let me just throw that here, we may be able to refurbish and maybe name it in one of the past principals' honor. That is something that I'm working towards, as in Mr. Kenneth Peart, because he was my principal during that time, and everybody knows that name.
Of the principals, most agree that Teacher Peart was the most impactful.
When Teacher Peart came, I was in grade 3, which at that time I think was known as Junior 3, then it changed to grade 3. Things changed a bit because he was a different type of leader, now I can say, and so how we were treated differently. We were pushed more for the academics, and Teacher Peart actually pushed for more excellence from the students. I guess because that is part of his dream as well. He coming from also from a humble beginning, because he's a cousin of mine, so I know about that. So the teachers were actually now, they were like more together and always interested in the students. But I found that during that time, the teachers were more, we more could relate to them, and that was part of the change that I liked, and the fact that they pushed us really for excellence. Everybody was to pass their exam. Every teacher wanted to know that this child that they are tutoring, that this child passed their exam.
Mr. Peart used to punish children for coming late, purposely. He used to go out and meet them on the gate, at the gate, or around the corner, or on the back road. So the schoolroom was a pleasant experience.
Make sure you're on time. You know, with Mr. Peart would meet you around, Teacher Peart would meet you around Peart Corner to ensure that, you know, for me coming from Rock Spring, I had to be early, and you know, there was just King Alphonse, and some days it break down halfway. So I sometimes, if he's in a good mood, I would escape. But that is one culture I realize, that my students are most of my students are early for school. So I think that has stayed with us.
Whereas we're still guessing the precise start date of the school, there is no guessing when it comes to the history of the admission records.
So this is the oldest admissions book that we have. This one starts at 1918 and this one goes up to 1935 in terms of date of birth. This was destroyed by Hurricane Gilbert and we salvage what was left of it and laminate the pages basically. And then this one starts at 1943 for admissions. And then 1956 is the next one. And 1966, this one. So, and then this is the one that we are currently using from 1975. And we have a couple ways to go in this one. Yeah, we are more than halfway. Right, so we have this much on this. So this looks like it will last another 10 or so years. Yeah. So right, so my admissions detail is in, I'm sure yours is in one of them as well. Yeah.
First you have A class, which was, you have A class, B class. So we call it that, but the correct educational name was Junior 1, Junior 2, Junior 3, Junior 4, Junior 5. And that takes you to grade 5. And then you go up to Junior 6. So you have Standard 1, Standard 2, and Standard 3. Standard 3 would be 6th class or 9th grade now. 5th class was Standard 2. Standard 1 would be grade 7. Then it changed to Form 1 because we are sort of getting there, climbing up the ladder. So we still had the junior right down to Junior 6, and then we had Form 1, which would be grade 7, Form 2, Form 3 would be grade 9. Then in 1965-66, that is when they phased it with the grade this and the grade that, and we what? So we have now become a grade system because we're an all-age school. So you leave at 15.
We currently have 293 students on roll with 14 teachers, and we are striving to ensure that Warsop Primary and Infant School become a center of excellence. So all the students who pass through the walls of this institution will attain their full potential. And we have a team of teachers now who are really dedicated, and we are working together to ensure that we add value to all our students. And I am very proud to be the principal here. I have a community of parents that are most supportive, and a board that is very supportive as well, and the Ministry of Education. So I think that with all the stakeholders on board, we will make strides as we have started to make strides.
Indeed, much strides have been made since you last visited the campus of the school. First, there is now an administrative building with a principal's office, a lobby showcasing numerous awards and medals, an auditorium. A tuck shop. A library. A staff room. A guidance counselor's office, and indeed fencing around the school plant.
The students, in terms of how we were able to play, loosely and freely, we are not able to so do anymore, In our times, we were playing dandy shandy all over the place. We were playing hide and seek all over the place. With what has, things and times have changed, and so our students are confined to a specific area, so they're not allowed to go on the street. In our time, we were even in new roads playing hide and seek during lunchtime, so that is not allowed anymore.
I'm reflecting on myself as a young boy on this campus, running around, like sliding down the pole. Do they still do those things?
Yeah, well, we had to put in because occupiers liability, all of those things, those were not taken seriously in our time. But now, you get an injury in our time at school, you run down to the health center. Mm-hmm. No, it's a different times, different things. So you have to be careful. So that is not allowed anymore. And what we have done is to grill the area so the boys are not able. And if you look at it, you will still see the sheen from the sliding down on that pole. So that is not allowed.
Everyone had a favorite teacher. I had several.
We had people like Mrs. Miles, Miss Crawford, Mrs. Milford, Mrs. Robinson, who incidentally is still alive. She's 101 years old, February gone. She's still alive. I'm in touch with them. Mrs. Miles died recently. You had Mrs. Williamson, whose husband was a police officer. They lived at the house where the Dawsons used to live. Those people were prominent teachers. Mas Lou had a house. Right now nobody lives in it, but that is where teachers used to live. And there was a house down the road, it's now burnt down, Miss Verna Dixon. Teachers used to live with her, because I remember my junior 5 teacher, Miss Cornwall, she lived at that house. You had Miss Vivi Bennett. She was Scott. She used to teach at Warsop too. You had Mrs. Young and Miss Reed. They lived at Maslow's house. Mrs. Young, she has since died, but Miss Reed is still alive. But poor soul, Alzheimer's has taken over. But I'm still in touch with her. Mr. Bailey, our own Mr. Bailey, Errol Bailey, we call him Ticos. He's a product of Warsop. He went to Michael and he taught here. And then he went away to other places in Clarendon. And he's now retired and living in Christiana. He is a product of Warsop School. They didn't go to high school. The teachings here in that elementary school then, it honed them and laid the groundwork for them to become somebody.
Okay, for extra lesson, definitely you're talking about Mrs. Erna Smith. She taught me extra lessons in grade 6, but there's Mrs. Peart.
I enjoyed the time, because at that time we used to have woodwork center and things were more practical than they are now. The children then, they used to enjoy devotion in the mornings, and even when dismissal time came, it was prayer before departure, singing and prayer. And things were orderly. We didn't have much problem And even the corporal punishment, parents did not resist. I am in contact now with many past students. They remember me at Christmas time and special days. I won't call any name, there are so many. And I love teaching. Really love teaching. And they're always all proud of me. Many of them are here now. Some of them are parents and grandparents. And sometimes I'm sitting here like, oh, you came and saw me sitting. I was listening to the radio. They don't pass without respecting me. You know, I taught many grades, but the only grade I remember is grade 6. That was my most exciting experience. And maybe because the others were so small that they don't register. But everybody, Mrs. Pate, my grade 6 teacher, and I enjoyed being with them. I like writing on the blackboard. And they used to admire my fist. I love teaching English, really, and many other of the subjects. So I retired in 1996.
Miss Powell, God rest her soul, Miss Powell. But the teacher that was most impactful on me was Mrs. Hutchinson, Laurel Hutchinson. That teacher would have, I think she brought the best out of me, and she would have impacted me in such a way because she allowed me to lead, you know. And I remember sitting in her class, man. She was such a no-nonsense teacher. And one of the things that I know about her that I emulate is how equally she treated all of us. Whether you were bright, whether you were average, whether you were seen to be performing below the grade. I remember the passion with which she taught us poems, you know, the Claude McKays. The passion which she taught us Bible verses, Romans 12 verses 1 to how many verses, and we have to know that, and we have to recite it, and we have to put expressions. So those are the things I remember when she teaches us science, and when we were doing the clouds, and she took us outside and she was showing us the different types of clouds. So I remember her because she was very practical. And when we were doing angles in her class, math, and she took us out and she showed us different angles on the school, the plan. So for me, Mrs. Hutchinson, she was one of my most impactful teachers here at Warsop. I will never forget how she taught. She was very practical.
One of my favorites was Miss Cynthia Brown. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Miss Brown. Happy birthday to you. Here is the part now. How old are you now? How old are you now? How old are you, Miss Brown? Happy birthday to you.
While I was in race course, I saw that Mr. Pate was running for politics in Trillon. And he was the person with whom I passed the third Jamaica local exam. So I planned to come and work with him. And so on completion of internship at race course in Clarendon, I come to Trillon. And that was 1972. The rest is history.
History, right. What grade did you come in at that time?
For me, I was trained for infant and grade 1. And when I came here, because Mr. Pate knew me so much, I said, right. He said, no, grade 9. I'm going to put you at grade 9. And I spent so many years at grade 9. And I have so many out there now, so many doctors and you name it, as a result of my being at grade 9 over such a long period. The only classes else that I taught grade 2 for 1 year. That is after I went to money to upgrade my skills. And I came back, I was at grade 2 for 1 year. Something happened again and I was at grade 5. So the only classes that I taught here, grade 9, grade 2, grade 5 and grade 8. And those are just 1 term or 1 year stunts. The foundation work was laid at grade 9 as a primary school teacher.
Any kind of outstanding memory that you have your time in, whether grade 9 or any one of the other grades that you taught?
There are many high points because I love my children and I introduce a lot of things to them. Because say when it comes to Christmas and those holidays coming up, we used to cook for them. And I introduce them to box food.
Wow.
Cook and get the boxes and then take there and serve them in the box and they eat and we drink together and we have a nice time. We go on trips, school trips, educational and otherwise. And we were always working together.
Another was Miss Iona Salmon.
After leaving Belfield, I came back to Warsop to teach at Warsop. And that was something that I will never forget. Now, my leadership skills and my teaching skills were tested because the students were, they were still warm, you're used to everybody. It was a moment of joy and happiness for me, being able to give back to the school that I went to, the one that shaped me. Majority of the families were from humble beginnings, and all of us, and so I wanted to, it has always been a dream of mine to get us out of that so that we could excel. So giving back was good for me. So I taught several persons who today I'm proud of. I watch some of them, in the newspapers and so forth, and how well they are doing, and I'm grateful that I added something to their life. Teaching for me now as a teacher. Now, I was actually at first not accepted by many of the teachers because I was small. I was small in size. I'm only 5 feet ½ inch tall, and and I was small, maybe 125 pounds or 20 pounds at the time. And because of that, I was not accepted. The majority of the teachers then knew me because I was there when they were teaching there as well. So it was kind of a rough ride for me, but I put all my energy into the students and to ensure that I gave them my best and so that they could benefit from it. I like the idea that I can boast about some persons. I can boast about all, but definitely some persons. I remember this girl who could hardly read, and I spent my time with her after school. We didn't have electricity, so I had to go and borrow my father's lamp. There was a lamp that we call a tilly lamp. You had to pump it with this, that you put this purple feed in there, and the kerosene in it, and we pump it so that it would come up. And that's what I borrowed from my father, and I used it every night to teach her. We were at school and I taught her, and she was able to pass her exam to go to high school. I saw her some years ago in Spanish Town. She's married, doing very well. She has her own business. And when she hugged me, she started crying. She said, I talk about you so often because you were the person who gave me a chance. That's a story I will never forget. There were students who hardly could read. I remember I had some of them in grade 6 that I had to use the bottle cover to teach them how to count. So I would go down on the floor with them and teach them how to count. I valued that because my objective was to help to get persons out of humble beginnings and to move to another life that they could benefit from. Many of them passed their exams. I even went on when I was in grade 8, I would teach them things that I learned at home, even though it was not what they were supposed to be learning. And I always have evening class. We used to call that evening class. I was never paid, and it never mattered to me. I never looked forward for money. I never asked any of them for money.
There are many students who have done exceptionally well, who would have passed through this institution. We have persons like Michelle Gilzine, who is the current principal of Duncan's All Age. There is Mr. Rowan McNally, who is the CEO of Three Angels Pharmacy. There is persons who are lawyers, the Baileys, doctors, who would have passed through this institution. Mr. Rowe, Richard Rowe, who is an established businessman, attended this institution. Anthony White is also a past student, the Smiths, many persons who are well established in this community would have passed through this institution. So we have been impactful. We have been playing our role in nation building.
Now, Warsop had some very prominent and brilliant citizens. And although some of the people who are here were not born here, their parents served as postmistresses or police officers here. And I can recall that Easton Douglas went to Warsop School. He was a prominent politician in Kingston. His daughter Carrie Douglas is in politics right now. He lived at that little old house in front of Aunt Laura's house. It is all broken now, but that's where he lived, at the Henlands place. And he went to school here in Warsop. Mrs. Scott and his bigger brother OJ were in the same class. Easton and my father was in the same class. And you had people like Mike Thompson. Mike Thompson was a musician of no mean order. He was a one-man band. He lived right on that hill there now where the now principal of Warsop, that is where her house is now. You had prominent citizens living here. Nurse Williams, Luna Williams, she was a midwife here, who was the sister of renowned comedian Ronnie Williams, Mass Ron, from the Miss Lou and Mass Ron era. And right here, people have passed through this school. They did well. We had a film star, Janet Barkley. She was a star in The Harder They Come. Her brother, prominent doctor. Coming down, we had Paul Dennis, renowned lawyer. Very, very good lawyer, very good lawyer. You have other doctors coming behind me, further down the line. Dwight Lewis. You have nurses, more nurses. Right now we have 2 children from one family here. The Baileys, lawyer, right here in Warsop. You have several teachers. You have nurses. You have businessmen, all coming out of Warsop here. Theron Milford, who was a prominent member in the Adventist Church. He was at the university in Mandeville. He's from right in Warsop here. Warsop School. Brilliant guy. He died recently. Brilliant. Theron is very good. I am a proud product of Warsop All Age School at the time. And some people don't know anything about me. but a little bit of peep in my life. I am a graduate of the Micro Teachers College, Kentucky State University overseas, where I got a scholarship and I went overseas to study. University of the West Indies here. I'm a proud honors graduate of the Pelican. I have copped several awards, as you can see up there, sir. I have several awards on my top of my mantle shelf for outstanding work done in education. I'm a proud recipient of the Prime Minister's Medal of Honor for excellence in education. I was honored by the Gleaner, Carlong, Tip Friendly Society, JTA Golden Torch, and JTA Credit Union, and Kentucky State University. I got my leadership award there, and several other entities, too numerous to mention. I would encourage the people who have left and who gained prominence now in the world. Your beginning started right there. You began right there. You are now Dr. So-and-so and lawyer this and that, and nurse so-and-so and whatever. Please, I'm asking you, come back, visit, support causes, because there are brilliant children now here and the parents are not able to send them off to school. Your support would be good. If you don't want to give it to them, donate to the school, computers or whatever materials you can.
Well, our immediate need is a safe space for the students to play. So you would see the area that we term our play field is practically a dust bowl when it is dry and a mud pit when we have rain. So we really would like the area to be graded down and fenced and regrassed. And with that area fenced, then we would have complete fencing of the plant, because now the back of the plant is not fenced, and so persons have access to just walk on the compound. And we have had a few unfortunate incidents where persons were able to access the compound because of the open space that we have. So that would be our immediate need right now, to get that area fenced in. From annually, we try to solicit scholarships or grants for our students who are transitioning into high school. We do not ask for a lot. We ask for what you can afford. Because, as you know, our parents are predominantly farmers, and it is not, they do not always have it. But these are parents who believe in education, and so any help that they get would really be appreciated. And so, for even if it is a $5,000, and I'm talking Jamaican now, or $10,000, what we receive is how we market it that will make a difference. So the person who contributes $50,000 is the same fervency we receive the 5,000 with, and we really heap praises on that, whatever we receive, and so there are always needs that the students will have: books, uniforms, school shoes, pencils, crayons, Play-Doh, stuffed toys, all of these things, tablets, now that we are on the technology highway. So anything at all that can help to make the students feel more comfortable and achieve more in their primary school education would be greatly appreciated. A person coming from overseas, and even if it is a pack of pencil, if it is a pack of crayons, these are greatly appreciated. Because if a child cannot read, we do not plan to leave the child behind. Maybe the child will be able to express him or herself through art. And so we try to develop a child holistically. Musical instrument, whatever it is that you can donate would be greatly appreciated. So I deliberately make that effort to have a very good relationship with my parents, and I must tell you that they are very supportive, very, very supportive. I can give you examples of how supportive my parents have been. The current, our school was broken into, not more times than I would like to. In 4 or so years back, we have not had any incidents since we have had the night watchmen. But we have had parents contributing a freezer. We have had, I didn't mention a former member of parliament, Mr. Devon McDaniel, who is also a past student. He would have donated a freezer that they also stole. We have Mr. Daniel Freighter, who is an inspector of police. He would have donated scholarships, he would have donated bags and books, a number of things. I would have mentioned the Whites. Oh my God, I started naming names now and I'm going to get into trouble. But you have the Uters and Saunders family from Thompson Town. You have a lot of persons would have contributed significantly to this institution. And I think the fact that I'm a past student as well has really helped. That persons can relate to the head of the institution, and that has really helped, and I'm very happy for that. And I must tell you, I am quite appreciative of the response, and I hope that through this initiative that we will foster a stronger and better relationship.
But just remember where you're from. And this sleepy, pretty little village, glorious Warsop, is awaiting you with welcoming arms.
So join us in our next episode when the bell rings again.